are listening to the Loving Your Own Soul podcast, and I'm your host, Britt Olson. Guided by my own intuition, my intention is to deliver genuine conversations centered around health and wellness, spirituality, self-expression, and culture. In this space, I will provide you with real-life stories, theories, and inspiring perspectives to help you uncover and tap into your own true potential. I'm so grateful you've chosen to tune in with me on this mindful exploration to living a more fluid life through a deeper connection to the soul. Now let's dive into today's journey. Hello everyone, how are we all doing during these crazy times? At this point, we've all been in quarantine for several weeks now, with each of us really dealing with COVID in completely separate ways, but at the same time, we're all dealing with it together. And during this time, ways of connection and feeling supported are really so important right now, more so than ever. And I'm hopeful that all of you have been able to find different senses of connection in your daily lives as well. Whether finding connection through FaceTiming with your family more often, calling your friends, texting strings, even connecting in different Facebook groups, partaking in a lot of free courses has actually helped me with all the content that's out there and just kind of getting that sense of internal and external connection. I've also been loving cooking and serving up healthy foods in my home here has been so much fun. I personally have actually had an equally joyous experience of not having the typical deadlines that I usually carry and just really being able to educate myself, learn something new online, spend time in the kitchen, or even get creative with the tools I have at home. Flow paintings. Some of you may or may not know what a flow painting is. I'll try to not butcher the description, but it's more or less where you take acrylic paint and add Floetrol, which I actually am not 100% sure what Floetrol is. So if anyone would like to let me know, please do. But you mix the two together, drop it on a canvas, swirl it around, and it just creates these really beautiful, almost just natural, bubbly, swirly, just kind of really cool paintings. I've found it to be almost like therapeutic in a way. It's really nice. My husband, he even made a couple of them, which he really enjoyed it. It doesn't take any sense of art or creative ability by any means, so anyone can do it if you are interested. Highly recommend it. So crafts, getting creative is other fun ways to kind of explore our time at home. But really what I'm trying to say is, if you're feeling down during this time, I totally feel you. We all are. And we are all also in this together. And I haven't been living in this perfect bubble of inspiration either. So please don't think that by any means. However, the one thing I've learned from life and through this time is that we all carry a choice to shift our lives and our mindset. I know how difficult it can feel, and believe me, I've been there, but I truly do know how difficult in certain situations it can feel to choose again. But it's also the one thing that can set you free and shine a light on the current darkness sitting around you. And when you choose again, you start by choosing joy, you choose something fun, and you watch how just adding that little sense of joy into your life truly has the power to turn things around. I know it sounds so simple, but sometimes some of the most simple things can actually be the hardest to do, yet they're the ones that make the most impact. And with that, that actually brings me to the purpose behind today's episode, which was recorded with one of my closest friends and now business partner, Chelsea Harris. Chelsea is truly one of the sweetest and most genuine people you will ever meet. Those who know her can attest to that. And through our friendship and our own individual lives, life's experiences have really intermingled within us to help form our recent endeavor called DAFFY, which stands for Do a Favor for Yourself. DAFFY is grounded in ensuring women have the right understanding and tools to practice self-care, sustainability in order to better manage their inner wellness. Through managing our inner wellnesses, we are able to then better serve the world around us. And yes, I did just say inner wellnesses, which is not technically a word, I believe. Chelsea would actually be the one to check me on that. So anyway, Daffy was really Chelsea's brainchild, which we will get into and talk about in detail in the episode. And I've just been so fortunate to not only have her in my life, but to now go down the route of business to inspire more like-minded women from really all over the nation. And I don't want to say too much so that I don't spoil the episode, but I will say this episode is so special and vulnerable and inspiring all at the same time. Having Chelsea on here was truly a gift, and I hope that you will equally glean a lot of inspiration and walk away with some new understandings per her words and getting to understand her a little bit better. However, before we jump in, I do have one announcement to share as to how you can all obtain my brand new plant-based recipe ebook. As you may know, ratings, reviews, and shares are crucial to helping podcasts grow and inspire more individuals on a global scale. So in exchange for a rating and review, I am giving each of you my free plant-based recipe ebook, which includes 25 plant-based recipes. Everything is in there from smoothies, desserts, lunches, dressings, even your favorite comfort foods with a twist, such as plant-based mac and cheese, homemade pizzas, tacos, pastas. Yes, all the foods we typically deem as the fatty or unhealthy foods can actually be made with super healthy renditions that are equally enhancing and protecting and helping your body at the same time. So to get this free ebook, all you have to do is rate and review this podcast, screenshot it, and email me proof at lovingyourownsoul@gmail.com. In addition, for those of you who elect to rate and review and send me the proof, please do so by May 31st, and I will enter you into an extra special giveaway as part of my podcast launch, as I am giving away a huge gift basket with some of my favorite brands, including products from Four Sigmatic, Hum Nutrition, Pura Vida bracelets, Liquid IV, and so much more. So all you have to do, like I mentioned before, is rate and review the podcast, screenshot it, email me proof, and I will send you my plant-based recipe ebook in addition to entering you into our podcast launch giveaway. So many things to give you. Again, just all in gratitude to everyone. And one more piece of information for those of you who elect to go a step further and share the podcast or your favorite episode on social media, you will receive one additional entry into the giveaway. So it's super easy. And again, your ratings and reviews are truly what will propel the success of my podcast. Wow, that was a lot of information that I just shared with you. Hopefully you guys got all of that and I didn't overwhelm you. But anyway, without further ado, let's jump into today's episode. Before we jump into today's episode, I wanted to give a special shout out to one of my favorite health and wellness brands, Hum Nutrition. Hum Nutrition carries so many varieties of vitamins and supplements with clinically proven results for hair, skin, body, and mood. All you have to do is simply go online to humnutrition.com, take a quiz, and you'll receive your personal download of the best supplements fit to your current wellness needs. And they're all vegan, made with all natural ingredients to specifically support you. Your quiz results are even analyzed by Hum's professional nutritionists who will specifically match your goals with the clinically proven nutrients. You can't get more personal and tailored to your needs than that, which is why I fell in love with the brand probably about a year ago. And I use their multivitamin base control every single day. It's so important for us women to receive the nutrients we need to keep our bodies healthy. And I also incorporate their daily cleanse vitamin to assist in stripping extra toxins so that my body can digest and regulate itself. Since taking the daily cleanse, I've seen a huge improvement in nixing period breakouts, overall skin health, and even hair growth. And even more recently, I've started taking their B12 vitamin and have seen already after this quick month a great increase in my overall energy as well as reduced muscle and joint soreness. They've recently come out with new products such as supplements to boost your mood, collagen tablets, gut repair, and even the Big Chill, which incorporates various adaptogenic herbs to help your mind and body cope with stress. Anyway, I could go on all day about Hum, as they've truly been a huge part of my own wellness journey. If you are interested in trying them, I have a code which gets you $10 off your first order. That code is 11BB11, and that's 2 capital B's as in Brit. So simply head over to humnutrition.com, take your quiz, and enjoy $10 off with my code 11BB11. Now let's head over to today's episode.
Hey, Britt.
I'm so excited to have you on here with one of my very first podcast episodes with my new podcast. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to be here with me.
Of course. I'm so excited. And feel so honored I get to be your first one. Awesome.
Yeah, this is going to be so fun. For those of us who are listening who are not as familiar with you or our friendship, Chelsea, you and I, just to give a little bit of a backstory, we met over 11 years ago, maybe 12 years now. I actually saw Facebook today sent me our little friend anniversary. I don't know if you've seen that. Yeah. Kind of a cute little irony, actually.
That is so funny for the podcast day and knew we were going to be doing this.
I know, so fun. But we met in Flagler College freshman year, randomly met over on the beach. And what I think is interesting about our friendship is we immediately became friends. Like it was like an instant connection upon meeting, very just natural, fluid friendship. And then after that first semester, you ended up transferring schools back right outside of Atlanta and finished college there. And then we really kind of lost touch, didn't speak at all until after college when I was coming to Atlanta with my dad on a business trip and some job interviews, reached out, we reconnected, hung out. I think we went to the Atlanta Beer Festival maybe that day.
Yeah.
Maybe saw each other first, then did that.
The iconic Atlanta place that no longer exists. So you were able to experience that.
Oh, does it no longer exist anymore?
Oh, it was really cool history. It was like a building way back when in Atlanta. It's been around for a long time, and they actually took it off the historic,
Wow.
I guess the historic, I don't know, the Grant area. And yeah, they took it off and now it's something else.
Oh, so sad. It was such a cool building. I still
Yeah.
tell people, I'm like, it was one of the most interesting setups that I've been to.
Yeah. So yeah, we went to a beer festival.
We did. And then really from there, our friendship, I then moved back down to Florida, all over the place. But we really always kind of kept up a long distance friendship that has really just created such in and of itself its own sisterly bond. We've now each been in each other's weddings at this point, which is amazing. We are now business partners on new concept DAFFY, which we will get into here in a little bit. And yeah, I just think it's so cool the way we met, life intermingled us. And here we are 12 days, 12 years, not 12 days, 12 years.
12 days later.
12 years later, and
Time warp.
Yeah. Quick friendship. Yeah. And then we just carry like such a special bond. I just love it. So proud to call you one of my closest friends. So
Oh, same here. Ditto for sure. I like literally when you started this whole history of us, I can still remember like so faintly our first look like on the beach. Like it was just like, I have to know that girl. Like I was just like, I'm meant to know this girl. And we just kind of like hit it off. We like randomly said hi and we're like, and from there it was history. It was crazy. And it's just like how, we both love connection. And I feel like life gives us these opportunities for connection all the time. And we bonded over connection. Like we chose to connect with one another. I don't know if it was for you, but that was at a time when you're a freshman in college. It's like you have to make friends in a way so you don't feel lonely, and we were in a whole new state, both of you and I. And I remember thinking, I've got to make friends so I don't feel lonely, and that was my choice of wanting to connect, and you as well. And I just think that was so cool, and how we're still embodying that in our life 12 years later, of choosing connection and choosing, compassion as well. So
I
I'm
love
just
that.
so excited to hear.
Yeah, it's so true. So true. Especially the art of connection. I think now going through COVID, when we release this podcast here, our episode here in a couple weeks, I think hopefully we'll be maybe on the upswing of COVID. We'll see. But I think connection is definitely such an important side of life right now, especially. And yeah, college is interesting because you kind of are forced into like needing to make friends so that way you don't feel so alone. And some of those friendships, as you know, like we met a lot of people that you're friends with, and then that kind of dwindles off as you come into your own. And yeah, it's just so interesting the way ours was that it's almost like meeting your soulmate, your life partner, through friendship, that like when you meet, it's that easy, it's natural, it's kind of effortless, and just goes from there.
Absolutely. And I think that life it separated us. And I think it just, everything worked out how it was supposed to work. Both grew in our own ways during that time. And when we reconnected, and I'll never forget that either, when you were like, hey, I'm in Atlanta, and we hadn't heard from each other in like 4 years.
4 years, probably. Yeah.
Like, great. Okay, you're in Atlanta. Let me show you Atlanta. And that too was my first ever year living in downtown Atlanta, like having that city experience. It was so fun to experience that with you.
So fun. I think we were 22 probably.
Oh, yeah. 22.
Which, wild year in and of itself. But now here we are in the grand year 2020, where I just turned 30 and you'll be turning 30 here in a couple weeks. So embarking on a new decade together, which I know will be even greater than the last one. But something else that happened this year was we officially put legs to DAFFY, which stands for Do a Favor for Yourself, that you've been kind of crafting up through own experiences and everything for maybe the last 2 years or so. But I'll let you maybe kind of jump into the passion kind of that comes behind DAFFY.
Yeah. So it's such a passion, and it's evolving, but in the sense of it evolves for a good reason. And DAFFY came to me 2 years ago when I was at my rock bottom. And maybe I'll just go into that real quick. Rock bottom, a lot of times people don't want to talk about rock bottom. Personally, I never even knew rock bottom, what it was, until I was actually experiencing it. And that's how taboo rock bottom is for people. We don't want to talk about it. And I think that when I hit that, I was meant to hit it because I was meant to share it and to talk about it like I am right now. And I think rock bottom looks different for everyone, but the feelings you feel at rock bottom are the same. It is that devastating ache, pain, loneliness, fear, anxiety, just all the heaviness of the things you don't want to be feeling. In that rock bottom, I luckily, decided that I was sick and tired of being in rock bottom. And with that, I decided to listen to a new voice, which was my faith. And it told me to get up and go. And I didn't know what that meant, but it just told me, listen to me, get up and go. And then that led me to a therapist, which this little ball of invitation, which was a voice inside me, not like the rock bottom voices, because we know how ugly those rock bottom voices are. But this new light of a voice told me to get up and go. And so I went to a therapist, and DAFFY ended up being, at that time, this list that this therapist gave me. And it evolved from this conversation I was having with my therapist in the sense that I was well, I'll say it again, I was at rock bottom. And I didn't know how to deal with life. I didn't know how to deal with bills. I didn't know how to deal being a mom. I didn't know how to deal being a wife. I didn't know how to be a friend. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I was so lonely and so anxiety ridden that she interrupted me and she was like, Chelsea, I'm going to tell you that you can't control any of that. The only things you can control are these things I'm about to write down for you. And this is your homework. So she gave me this list, and when she literally handed it over to me and read them out loud to me, I laughed. I said, these are essentials. This is something every human does. And she goes, no, not everyone does it intentionally. And your homework is to do these 6 things and do them every day before you worry about anything else in life. And wow. Those 6 things, where I'm going to share them with you, are water, food, exercise, sleep, vitamin D, and connection with your higher power and with another human being, which they look so simple on paper and you think that you do them every day.
Probably felt almost kind of like trivial in a way.
Yeah. It was like, and it was almost like this weird paradox at the same time too. It's like, well, I do this. And then I'm like, oh, wait, I'm not doing this right now. Like, I haven't had breakfast yet and it's like noon. I haven't had water. Like, I thought I had water, but no, I didn't. I'm just on this overdrive. Life is controlling me. Life is, like a puppet. It's controlling me. And when she gave that list to me, it was my faith waking me up. And it said, this is your invitation. This is how you get up and go. This is your ticket. And so I did it. I focused on one every day, and then it led me to the other. And then all of a sudden it was like this interconnected web of favors for myself that I had to make sure that I did in order to give my best self and to get through the ugliness that life gives you and even the brightness that life gets you, how to receive all of it and how to process it and how to grow with it. So that's how DAFFY, this little list was the seed of DAFFY. And it wrecked me. It wrecked me to a point where I was like, I need to share this with everyone. Why aren't my friends and I talking about this? Just telling someone, well, have you had water today? Just reminding them, do a favor for yourself. Have you connected with someone? Which is a really hard one for me to do. I'm such an introvert. So that's one, I have to work on all the time. But in a sense, that's where it started and where it evolved. And so now I was able to move it along. So it's been festering in me for about a year and a half. And it looked like many things in my mind and in all my doodles and my notes and going back and forth with people and ideas. And then I started focus groups, and then I started surveys to other women to figure out if this was an interest to them and what really self-care meant to them. And then, it aligned me with you that you were walking this journey of self-care and self-discovery, and how you had this burning passion inside you to get up and go and tell women as well, in that sense. And I just knew that it was meant to be formed with you. And you pretty much helped the machine of DAFFY evolve into what it is right now, and then what the continued involvement of it. And it's just so beautiful to watch something form from a seed into a plant and a tree and just watch it branch and produce fruit. And it's just really cool. So
it is. It's so amazing. No, that was great. I think it's so symbolic as well when we talk about watching DAFFY kind of start as an idea, a seed, and then it grows. And that beautiful analogy that you just gave, how it's an equal symbolism to yourself and myself as well, how we start from somewhere and we equally grow and change and continue to form into these beautiful versions of ourselves as we keep pulling back the layers and doing the work and everything.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, with Daffy, I just think it's like so beautiful and just so telling of who you are as a person to take such a hard situation in your life, that falling out, that rock bottom moment, and to be able to take what you learned in your experiences and how you got through it, and to then use that experience to now give back and better the world, and have that sight to know that there must be other women like you, whether in that situation or in, like you said, rock bottom, wears so many different faces and clothes, yet it's all that same set of underlying feelings that we all go through. But of course, in order for you to be able to give back, you had to do the work yourself. With
it doesn't happen in 12 days.
Yeah, exactly. How was that experience for you? Kind of getting this list of life essentials from your therapist that you were like, okay, like I should be doing these. Wait, I'm not doing these. And then to actually start implementing that into your life, was it kind of an uphill battle at the time?
Yes, it was. It was, it wasn't, it was like I was wrestling with it well. I wasn't winning. I wasn't losing. I had to wrestle it every day. I had to choose it every day. Because it's so easy not to choose it. And some days I didn't choose it. And then I saw the product of not choosing it. I was tired. I was cranky. I was snapping at Sailor when she would just ask me to come play with her. And, when I started being aware of what it was like not doing favors for myself, that's what motivated me more to keep at it. Turned out being that list, I taped it on my desk. I think that's where, because, I went there every day. I taped it on my desk. And I recited it and I would check it off mentally. And then it turned into me doing it in my head all the time. So then it turned from physicalness, and then it was like embodied in me to do it. And it's a struggle still. I mean, it's not something easy. It's not like something you check A through Z and then you're done. It's a constant, you have to do it every day, but it gets easier in the sense of, how to do it for yourself. You get to know yourself more and what you really need off those 6 favored, we grew it with Daffy. So there's 8 now, I believe. But yeah, you just start to, and with that list, what was really cool, with that essential list, what was really cool in my recovery is that, it awakened myself. Like it awakened parts that I didn't even know exist in myself. So it was almost like my own how-to guide that it was unlocking in my body. I mean, it just was crazy for me to hear things that I wouldn't normally understand, and then it would just process in me quicker. For instance, with you and the whole autoimmune disease world, I was introduced to that through you and your now husband, Dan. And if I hadn't gone through my rock bottom, and if I hadn't decided to get up and go and start this self-care and start applying these favors for myself, I wouldn't have understood your world. I wouldn't have understood what you were going through. And then I wouldn't have chosen to really sit with what you were going through. And with that, I was able to. And with that, it unlocked the food favor for me, because then I was like, well, what am I putting in my body? And then it just cycles, and then more doors are opening. And then there I am researching online and researching and listening to what you're saying. And I'm just like, whoa, now I've got to take care of myself with food. Okay, I get this. Now this food favor has turned into something for me that I can call my own, that I can make unique to myself. And now I know how to go with that. And so that's just an example of how just applying a favor to yourself like that can just really unlock so many things within yourself.
Totally. It's amazing how one experience or situation just kind of unfolds, and then the others start unfolding with it. And it's just this continuous process that when you started, you wouldn't have anticipated that. But because of the work, because of everything that you did for yourself on the inside, doing that inner self work, it just has continued to evolve and open up for you, food being one of them. And it will continue, I think, is what's so cool too, is that it's that continuous journey that it really never stops.
Yeah, it's really fun too. And it's hard, but it's fun.
It is.
Sometimes.
Totally. With DAFFY and the world where we live in today, self-care is a term that's so popular. It's used everywhere you look. I mean, if you open up Instagram and scroll through, I'm sure you'll find self-care within the first 5 posts, more than likely, all over the news. It's just a term that is really everywhere. However, I think the term has kind of gotten misused a lot, in that people deem self-care to be an experience where, oh, if I go get a massage today, that's self-care. Or if I do this, it's self-care. And in a sense it is, but it really kind of misses the underlying structure of what self-care truly is. And I know you kind of mirror these same thoughts. And that's when you came up with the term, actually, self-care sustainability, that I think is just so true and gets down to doing the nitty-gritty work. And that self-care really isn't easy. It isn't fun either on most days. Do you want to talk maybe just a little bit about kind of self-care sustainability and your stance around that word?
Yeah. So it really evolved to the self-care sustainability in the fact that self-care won't work for me if I don't make it work. If I have to make it work to work. And that means in the sense that the sustainability part is what I was missing from self-care. I would do self-care in the sense of, oh, I'll go get a massage, or, oh, someone said I need a journal, so I'll just journal today. And then I wouldn't ever go back to it. So something was missing for me with self-care. I mean, it was this intention, it was there, and these products of self-care were there, but I was missing the experience, and I was missing that action and that accountability. And so self-care sustainability stands for, managing that inner wellness for yourself, so that you can move forward serving the best part of you, no matter what season. So it's really sustaining your self-care no matter what. So figuring out those tools that work for you and holding that toolbox as close as you can to yourself, because that's how you're going to sustain life, in the sense of making self-care work for you. Is kind of, I guess, really that realm of self-care sustainability and what it was birthed from. Because I think that self-care won't work for you if you don't make it sustainable.
I agree. I know kind of it's interesting, and I know you've already touched on a little bit of this already, but the way that once you start doing the work inside, you kind of almost immediately really start seeing the energetic shift outside of yourself as well, in a sense that you're able to become a better person, a better friend, a better employee, and it all just kind of starts circulating. It's almost like this contagious, energetic effect that happens.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It comes with the growth of that. And it's not to say that once you start this self-care sustainability journey, you're never going to not feel, pain and hurt, and, you're going to feel it. You're going to go through life pressures and circumstances, but you do it in a way where it's just a little bit better.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like more manageable.
Yeah. It's a little, manageable. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I think it also creates a sense of awareness too, where you suddenly start seeing different situations differently, and you maybe have that sense of, wow, life is really rocking me right now, yet I can handle it and I can get through it. Whereas if this situation hit me a year, 2 years ago, it would have wiped me off of my feet and landed me flat on my butt. But now I can get through it, and kind of watching those hills and valleys as they come. Something really profound that you once had said to me as we were crafting DAFFY and trying to figure out the exact messaging and the initial launch with it is the way that life does throw you hills and valleys. And that when you're in a valley, all you have to do is keep looking ahead, because you have a hill, you have that positive moment coming up ahead of you. And not that you should take your positive moments for granted and immediately anticipate something negative to happen from them, but it's more just riding the waves of life and having those hills and valleys, and through some maybe more on the negative side, life lessons, etc., kind of situations that I've gone through recently. One of the things that really kept me afloat from them, in addition to our DAFFY checklist, doing the favors and keeping those in my hindsight, was also just knowing that, okay, I'm in a low moment, but with every low moment, there's a high moment to follow. So it was kind of keeping that faith that something good was coming for me next, whether I understood what I was going through in that very moment.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yes.
It's powerful. It's so true.
Oh my gosh. You could just sink that, drop your mic and walk away.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so true. With that, speaking of truth, this January, 5 months ago, once this show comes out, we actually we brought DAFFY to life. We launched it to the public, and we started that with incorporating DAFFY dates in the Atlanta area. And I'll let you explain a little bit more specifically about what a DAFFY date is, but where I'm going is in January, we started off our first DAFFY date around the conversation of turning fears into truths and how to really turn that around. Kudos to you and some different processes and things that you kind of came up with and have interjected into your own life.
Yeah, I'd love to share that. So real quick, a DAFFY date, what we brought to life is this face-to-face event around practicing your self-care sustainability, in the sense that we broke it down into 3 parts so that you could experience self-care in 3 different ways. And that is, number 1, starting with movement. So we would either incorporate yoga, dance, breathing, meditation, and then we would follow it through to a keynote speaker, industry expert. And then with that, what we learn, we manifest it then into a craft or creativity aspect, bringing it into life. And those 3 parts would all help you understand and get close to a certain topic we would have for that DAFFY date. And, women would come in and, we just invite them to come in with an open mind and open heart, and to take from this DAFFY date what is working, what will work for you, and just leave it all behind, the stuff that doesn't work. So it can get them a little bit closer and more in touch with themselves, with their inner work that we were doing. And so for January, we had this topic that, we kind of created together, in the sense that we were like, what are we going to start our first ever DAFFY date with? Like, this pressure was on. How are we going to come into this world with DAFFY? And we struggled with the idea and struggled. And then we're just like, why not talk about what we're feeling right now? And that is 100, or maybe 99% fear. Like, we are afraid that we're imposters. Who's going to want to hear from us? We don't have much to say. And so that is what we decided to come forward with, to be transparent. And it was a way for me to also share this process I've created for myself through my rock bottom and recovery. And that is the triple L process. And I love alliteration. So naturally, this process, each step has the letter L, starts with letter L. And it's a 3-step process. So if you're ever experiencing fear, you can kind of go to this process to help you move through it, instead of letting fear capture you and anger you and hold you down. You can't run away from fear. So it's how do you become buddy with it? And so this process kind of helps that. And the first step of that is calling your fear out. So it's liar, liar. That's number 1. And it's calling that fear either out loud, which is what I do. I feel it. And sometimes I don't call it out right when it comes through me, because fear has such a tricky way of how it just holds you. And so normally, sometimes getting better, but usually it takes me about either 30 minutes a day to understand what this fear is doing to me. And then when I get the strength, I'm like, I'm calling you out, fear. I'm calling you out. And so I'll say it out loud. Or, you can journal it. Whatever you feel comfortable. You just need to call that fear out and get it out. Then it doesn't have power over you. And then that's number 2 is letting it go. So when you call that out, you either can breathe it out, tell a friend, something that just lets you release it, and then breathe back in the truth. So you speak truth over it. So you let go of that fear and you let in the truth. So for instance, before this podcast, I had the fear of the imposter fear, like, well, who's going to want to hear from me? Who am I? And then I called it out and I said, no, that's a lie. That is fear. The truth is that I am me. I am wonderfully made, just like every other human being on this earth. And I have a voice. And so that's the truth. And you speak it over it. And then the third one that wraps up this process is leaning into it. So you really just lean into that truth. You either visually hug that truth, you either smile with that truth, you tell a friend, you tell your therapist, you write it down, what feels comfortable with you, but you lean into that truth. And sometimes leaning in can take a week or, an hour or just a quick second. However strong that fear is, that truth has to be stronger. So that's in a gist of what the Triple L process is and how it's helped me. So I hope it helps someone.
Yeah, it's such a powerful process. It really is. And we'll put as well in the show notes a link to the DAFFY blog and some areas where we've kind of spelled this out, as well as where people can download their DAFFY self-care sustainability check-in card and things too. But one of the things that was ironic, even though I don't really believe in ironies or coincidences, because I think that everything is made to be by a grander plan that's been laid out by all of us. But as we were getting ready to officially launch DAFFY and give it legs and bring her to life and help her be the beautiful being that she is, we in and of ourselves started actually going through the Triple L process in that last kind of final 2 weeks leading up to the very first DAFFY date. We not only were bringing DAFFY onto the stage for a public audience, but we were hosting our own panel. We were putting an event together, which we had never done together, although I come from that background and you come from the production background, which are very similar qualities. We had never physically done that together. We also elected for our craft to be a vision board since it was January, which we cut out all the pieces to make it easier, of course, for the participants, which was what we wanted, an act of love for them, for sure. But we just ripped that Band-Aid off and we went for it, which was a beauty in and of itself because we didn't have time to really second guess or let those kind of fear-based thoughts creep in, even though they definitely tried creeping in. And we kind of hit that imposter syndrome of like, suddenly as much as we believed in it with our souls, we hit that point where it was like, who are we to get up in front of this group of women who are all coming to us and looking to us for inspiration and connection that day and all the things, and then to lead a panel. On top of it, both of us equally enjoy public speaking and kind of have a natural gift in that realm. However, it was also our first time speaking publicly in a few years.
Absolutely.
So it was kind of DAFFY was there giving back to so many women in the community who really needed it. But at the same time, DAFFY was equally giving back to us as well. And through that, kind of how it was, I know we kind of like recapped the event and then kind of moved on to the next one, but we never really got too deep into the actual experience for both of us. But how was that experience for you? And what do you think you kind of maybe learned from all that?
That experience was something I had dreamed of for 2 years and I didn't know it. So it was kind of like receiving this gift that I knew was not of this world. It was something that was just gifted for me though, and also for other women. So it was just this visualization. It was so great. I felt such an overwhelming of gratitude, just proud that I got up and went and did the work for myself. And now I could see in other women, this is why I was supposed to do that work, I think. I was here because I did the work for myself, and that I had to share it, and I got to share it with women. And, and just hearing the feedback from it was just awesome. And in itself, it's very overwhelming when you're vulnerable as well. So I think we went through an emotional detox after that in a sense that we were very vulnerable and we were very raw. And sometimes that can drain you a little bit. So I think that we both went into an emotional detox in the sense of we were grateful, and then we had to recoup from it. That's how I felt. And in the sense of how do we keep this going, because it was well received. And it's also an accountability for us in a way, like, what we're doing is what women are wanting and needing. And so we've got to continually do it and work at it. Yeah, in a nutshell, I don't know if I just went down a rabbit hole, but
no, that was great.
It was really just such gratitude that I felt. It just was like, I was in awe. I don't have words for it really, I guess.
And it makes sense.
Sometimes I look back, I'm like, did we really do that? Is Daffy really alive right now?
It's so true.
Because if you would have told me this 2 years ago, I would have been like, yeah, no, nope, I would never do that.
Definitely not. I think it was so beautiful as well, going through the experience with you and having a partner in all of it, and being able to equally watch you step into your true light and just see your power as a female and as just kind of a very inspirational beacon for a lot of women, whether they know what you've been through or just through what you're trying to put out. And yeah, it was really beautiful watching you go through it as well, and then seeing the vulnerability come out on the other side after.
It was so beautiful getting to do it with you. I mean, I don't think Daffy could have ever came to life without a partner, because I think that in itself embodies what women are missing. We're so easy to lose connection. And especially with social media, comparison can steal connection. I mean, in an instant. So for us to bring Daffy into life together as a pair, to show how beautiful connection should be and how important it is, that was really cool. And it's still really cool to show women that you do need to connect, you do need to reach out, you do need support, and it's there. You just have to choose it.
Exactly. It's making that choice, which can be so hard. With Daffy, we just recently started our summer book club, and we are reading Untamed by Glennon Doyle, who
mastermind.
She's so great. So my book, ironically enough, was a little bit delayed due to COVID and some shipping delays. So I just got it this week, and I actually just officially started it this morning after my meditation. And the prologue, I want to talk about that really quickly with you, with the symbolism of the cheetah, because I found that to be so simple and so profound at the same time. What were your thoughts on that part of the book?
Absolutely. It's so simple. It's so profound that you actually have to say it out loud. Like, I don't know if you did, but I took it and I was like, I'm saying this out loud. And I did it. And it was like, oh my gosh, it's just so powerful and so beautiful. The analogy of it with society and women, tamed and untamed, like all wrapped up in what, 2 sentences, was it?
Like 2 sentences and 3 pages, really, maybe 2.5 was all that the prologue was.
It was such a mic drop. And it almost was like, okay, well, that's all I really needed. You know what I mean? Like, this was awesome. And then, okay, what's she mean about this? Like, and then it just helped. It just makes you want to dive in even faster and quicker. But yeah, it was so profound.
What part in the story of the cheetah there, what part kind of started hitting you the hardest, would you say?
I think periphery. So there is, I don't know word for word, but she talks about how the cheetah goes back and she stalks the periphery of her cage, almost as like she kind of remembers the wild and she's stalking it. And I feel like every woman, like I feel like we lose ourselves. And when I lost myself, I could relate to that stalking, that hunger for what I used to be. And just, oh, it's just, I have goosebumps now, but I just do.
I do
Yeah.
too.
And then reading that, you know, you envision your life in the past, and you envision how you stalked that and you felt it, and how it's now come to life for you. And it will always be, and more to come. And it's just really cool.
Totally agree. Same part for me too,
Oh, too?
actually.
Oh, you too? Ah!
Yeah,
That's awesome.
identical. Like full body chills right now, but so
So cool.
powerful. Yeah, highly recommend. If you have not read the book, if you haven't thought about it, if this is your first time even hearing about it, so grateful to be able to share this book of inspiration for you all. But Untamed by Glennon Doyle, highly recommend it. Again, I think I've only read the first 6 pages, but powerful.
It's so powerful, the first 6 pages. It's a genius. It really is. And so I'm really excited for you and I to be doing this and talking about it with the women of DAFFY. So I'm just really, well, our first meetup's next week, and I'm counting down. So
it's going to be amazing. With DAFFY, so DAFFY obviously stands for do a favor for yourself, as we've noted on a couple times by now, but the logo behind DAFFY is a daffodil, which is very symbolic for you. And of course, the word daffy coming out of daffodil. I'll let you kind of jump into that a little bit.
Daffodils. Okay. I'm going to try to do this Cliff Notes version so I don't lose everyone. Daffodils are it's my favorite flower. And it stems from when I went to England for the first time when I was 18 years old. And my mom is from England. So she wanted to bring me to meet her side of the family who still reside there. And I had always had this passion for the poet William Wordsworth. I'm a nerd at heart. So I studied him in high school. I mean, who does that? So I studied him in high school, and he is a nature poet. So he was from England, the Lake District. And he had this poem, The Daffodils, a daffodil poem. So I was obsessed with that poem. I didn't then know the connection with the flower, but I was just obsessed with that poem. So when I got an access to go to England, I was like, Mom, we are going to the Lake District. We are going to William Wordsworth's house. I've got to see where he sat, where he lived. And so we did it, went there. And then there's an area behind his house. He would walk up a hill and he would sit down on this bench. And it's where he wrote the daffodil poem. You talk about a view, man. I mean, it is such a beautiful view. It's, oh my gosh, there's a lake in the distance. The sun was glittering on the lake. The daffodils were actually dancing like in the poem. And I just felt for a moment like I was made for that moment. This poem led me here, and I was made to capture the beauty of that daffodil. All those daffodils, host of daffodils. For all you nerds, that's from the poem. But anyways, it just was such a profound moment. I didn't know what that was for me then. To me, it stemmed from that was my favorite flower. That right then and there, it was like, that's my favorite flower. I love daffodils. But really, it was this guide for me all through life. I would always just think of a daffodil when I was sad. The brightness of it, the meaning behind it, rebirth, a new beginning. And so funny how life does it. What was it? 12 years later, it's DAFFY. You know, that is what I was made for, I think. And to find you for it, and to have a partner with that, and to bring it to life and understand that that's where DAFFY was. Because it wasn't DAFFY. I don't think we had the name DAFFY yet, you know. And it took me getting it out and talking to you, and you telling, you know, I think you said something along the lines of an acronym or something. And then it all of a sudden, magically, it was DAFFY. Like, I knew it needed to be a flower. It needed to be daffodil. Like, I remember I was telling you, it was like daffodil something out of this. And that's how it it's just really cool. So in a nutshell, it really was a seed when I was 18 years old. It's kind of crazy to think about.
It's so powerful, especially the way that certain things and interests, again, it's like we're all being divinely guided throughout our entire life. That symbolism is so
And just
beautiful.
the symbolism of like sitting down in his chair and like the symbolism of perspective. I'm 18 years old. Like what 18-year-old would want to sit down and watch daffodils? I mean, and so I like the perspective of it and just like understanding this perspective from what William Wordsworth saw, and then just a new light. I saw the world in a whole new way. And then it just kept evolving from there.
That's beautiful. I love it. That's so cool. And now here we are.
Real quick, anyone who loves William Wordsworth, go to Lake District, go visit his house.
Totally. What was the name of the poem? Do you know? Is it called The Daffodil?
I Walked Lonely. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. I don't remember the title. I just call it the Daffodil poem.
That's okay. We can look it up.
Like, I have the poem everywhere. It's so funny. And I can't remember the title. I'm sorry.
No, not at all. You're totally good. We can look it up later and find it. A daffodil obviously symbolizes new beginnings for sure. And we have so many new beginnings in our lifetime, but Daffy in and of herself in a few short months since her first birth has gone through a new beginning here recently with COVID-19 has shaken everyone's world. However, we started out 2020 doing these in-person events through Daffy as the way to first kind of grow her legs in society and for women. And obviously that drastically changed. We didn't even get to have our third Daffy date in March. But since that, it's kind of taught us to be nimble, ways to restructure, kind of goes through some different things. We have the book club that we've now created. Is there anything about that, kind of changing of tides, we'll call it, that you wanted to touch on, whether through Daffy or maybe something that you've kind of learned through or worked through yourself in these last few weeks?
Yeah. Number one, to kind of piggyback what you're saying, the whole symbolism of Daffy is, really embracing that new beginning and embracing that rebirth that maybe you didn't ask for. Like we didn't ask for COVID-19 and we obviously can't control it. But just in that life, you're not responsible for life circumstances or pressures or pandemics, but you are responsible for getting yourself up, for choosing that new beginning. And so I think the action of choice has been really profound in this time for me, to choose to get up and to seek a new perspective, seek a new way, a new pathway. And it kind of reminds me of this professor I had in college, this communications professor, and she loved the military. She loved the analogies. And we watched some movie and I can't think of it now, but she wanted us to embrace the phrase, adapt and overcome. And it literally still follows me to this day. And so like this whole, when COVID-19 hit her, I can still hear her say adapt and overcome, like I was in the military or something. And so I hear that and it makes me think of like a new beginning is possible, like adapt and overcome. That's what we always have to do. It's always changing, life is. And so our responsibility is to adapt and overcome and to choose a new beginning, a new way, and a pathway, like I said. So I guess that's how I'm kind of taking it and just experiencing this new upside down world. I don't know, in a way. It all comes back to choice too. And I think with us as Daffy, it's given us an opportunity to find a new pathway and a new way for women, because this unearthed things that we had no idea we needed for self-care. I think a lot of women were like, whoa, wait, I do need time for myself. I've never felt anxiety before. How do I even deal with this anxiety? And so just a lot of new things have hit that I think that allows us to sit back and ask them, like, okay, these new things that have started bubbling, how can we help?
Absolutely. Especially, even just being at home more often than frequently not, whether it's even if you worked from home already. I mean, myself, I've been slower with work, so I've had more freedom as well. And I think there also comes to be something about being at home and dealing with anxiety and emotions and that choice. And it's also that kind of choice and relationship with food as well, kind of checking yourself, like, how much am I overeating? Am I stress eating? Am I bored? And I happen to be home, so I'm now just going into the refrigerator to try to eat. It's made us check ourselves in so many different realms.
I've learned that I do crave sweets 24/7, and it's not, you know what I mean? It's not just a nightly thing. I used to think it was just a nightly thing.
All day long.
Yeah, it's an all day long thing because I have all this time to think about it.
So funny. I love it. So before we close out today's episode and let you kind of get on with the rest of your day, I do just like to close things out with some loving your own soul questions, which are just some fun questions so our listeners can get to know you a little bit better than they do already and just kind of understand what lights you up.
I'm excited and nervous.
Putting you on the spot. What color would you say resonates the most with your soul?
Green, for sure. Green, green, green.
Green has such a positive energy. Such a fun color.
Yes, isn't it fun?
Yeah. Do you know your Enneagram type?
No, but I think I haven't researched it, but I think I'm a 3 by like talking with people who know theirs and who describe it with me. I think I'm a 3.
Yeah.
But
I could see that.
Fun. Like, I keep wanting to ask you back, like, your question.
Well, I think I'm a 9, but I can't quite remember, which I think 9 is the peacemaker. And I think it was a 9 and then a 4 or 5 was next.
Okay. Yeah. I think 9 is peacekeeper. I think I'm either 3 or a 9 peacekeeper.
Okay. I could see you having some of that as well. What season do you feel most connected and at peace during? And when I say season, meaning like summer, fall, winter, spring.
Oh, okay. That's a good one. I would say spring. I'm really obsessed with growth now. And just also side thing, I have a farm now, cut flower farm. And so I think spring is just so symbolic in the sense of really working on your inner garden and how growth is always there. It can always be there. So.
Totally. Spring is so fun too. It has such like vibrant energy, happiness. I feel like the whole world feels the joy from spring.
Yes. And daffodils here in Georgia are the first sign spring is coming. So
if you could go back to your 20-something-year-old self, or maybe a particular age in your 20s, is there anything you know now that you wish you knew then?
Holy moly, that's a good one. I don't know if I would tell myself anything because I think that my old self needed to do everything it did. I think the only thing I probably would tell myself is maybe to find my faith a little faster. Yeah. I think because, I knew something existed back, in my 20s. I didn't know what for myself. So
I like that. Final question. When do you think your exploration to diving deeper into your own soul first began, and how has it evolved since then?
Oh gosh. Okay. So like a physical place, or
maybe physical, maybe just a time in your life. When do you think you kind of started digging in there, and has that journey maybe shifted since then?
Well, it started when I hit my rock bottom 2 years ago. In the dead of night, it woke me up, and it was my faith calling to me. And it was this so profound invitation that I couldn't look away. I had to go. It was warm. It was sunny. And so every time that I look in myself, it's warm and it's sunny, and it's that same warmth that I felt. And that journey, boy, it's not easy. It called me when it told me to look inside myself. It told me to break up with everything I knew at that point. And it was scary. It was running away from things. It was walking away from everything conventional, everything I had been so hard to grasp and to take control of. And it just told me to let it go. And that's been the hardest thing. And it still is every day. It gets easier and easier. And that's what that journey looks like. It's constantly letting go and letting your higher power take it over. And so that's my journey.
So special. You are such a beautiful person inside and out. So grateful. So grateful just to go through this journey of life with you. And yeah, can't wait to see where we go from here. Wow. What an episode and story. To think that was my very first interview episode. Just really kicking things off here. Anyway, so blessed to have Chelsea on here. She is truly an old soul with a heart of gold, and I personally cannot wait to watch her continue to grow and plant her DAFFY seeds all over this earth in order to help more women bloom into the beautiful beings that they too were destined for in this lifetime. I hope you all enjoyed this episode as much as I did, and if you are interested in learning more about DAFFY, you can head over to daffynow.com or check it out on Instagram and Facebook at daffynow. As I mentioned earlier, if you've enjoyed your time here with me today, please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share this podcast. If you do so, send me an email with proof to lovingyourownsoul@gmail.com. And in exchange and the deepest gratitude, I will send you my free plant-based recipe ebook filled with 25 amazing plant-based recipes. In addition, for those who do so between now and May 31st, I will also be giving one lucky winner a gift basket filled with my favorite brands, including Hum Nutrition, Pura Vida, Liquid IV, Four Sigmatic, and so many more. It's simply my way of saying thank you, and in exchange, hoping to pay forward the amazing inspirational energies I've gleaned from the podcast space to hopefully exchange and inspire others with this new journey of mine. As always, thank you all so much for tuning in with me, and I look forward to exploring with you again soon.